Welcome to the Socratic Method, active listening and talking with someone versus talking at them. So what comes to mind when I say Socratic Method? By definition, the Socratic Method is a form of cooperative, argumentative dialogue between individuals based on asking and answering questions to stimulate critical thinking and to draw out ideas and underlying presuppositions. So we say cooperative because it's not about being right or wrong. It's about actively listening to what the other person is saying, not taking it personal, and asking them a question that will make them reflect on what they just said. And often they end up concluding on their own that they don't even agree with themselves or are at least not even acting accordingly. So we say argumentative because usually the other person is trying to prove whatever point they have, sometimes not at all about the cause we're there for. So we need to steer them back. And we do it through asking them questions. For example, the other day I was protesting horse-drawn carriages in Niagara-On-The-Lake, and a man said, "Are you against abortions?" So I responded by saying, "Are we here to talk about a woman's choice to her own body? I'm here to talk about the horse-drawn carriages. So why does my opinion matter to you so much for something completely different than the reason I'm here in the first place? Let us please stay on topic." And of course, if they really insist on talking about something else, ask as many questions as you can to bring them back to the current subject. That is what you are protesting, or I would suggest walk away. Most of my outreach and conversations follow this method, but I'm human too, so I sometimes astray from it when being provoked in a certain way. For the most part though, I stick to this technique because it has been proven to work for me repeatedly. And as mentioned above, we use those questions to stimulate critical thinking. We let people come to their own logical conclusions. Why are we grouping active listening in this same module? Because we need to be able to listen actively if we want to use the Socratic method. We need to hear what the other person is saying and not just be preparing our next point to counter. If anything, they will give us context in the way that they speak. And then we could use what they're telling us to throw back a question. So for example, someone says, "I could never go vegan." Rather than get upset and accuse them of being heartless, which we could think initially, our best bet is to ask them, "Why would you say that?" Or, "Oh, so what's stopping you?" Be curious. And as we listen to their answer, we use their answer to further question them so that they can conclude logic on their own. Example that they respond, "Because I love eating cheese too much," as to why they're not vegan. So you say something like, "So if you knew that the cheese you buy is causing a lot of pain to cows and you found other options, do you still think your taste buds are worth an entire life of suffering for those cows?" No one wants animals to be exploited for no reason. Or they say something like, more provoking, "Because vegans look weak." Your response, although we cringe from the inside, would be, "Why do you think that?" Again, being curious. "Can you give me some clear examples that you're referring to?" And most of the time, when we stay calm and non-reactive, we catch people off guard. They're not getting what their ego wanted. We stay composed, we continue to listen to their answers and use their answers to ask more questions. And even if we're not using the Socratic method per se, active listening is just something that we want to be implementing no matter what. People in general, they want to be heard. If you give someone enough time to vent out their stuff first, you can use that information to ask the right questions that you'll have time to adjust in your head for them. Second, you can paraphrase them, which means repeating what they just said in your own words to make sure you understand them correctly. And as a result, now that they feel heard, they'll be much more open to any of your suggestions. So it's a wonderful time to ask them what actions they can take next to transition to being vegan. So why is talking with someone versus talking at them such an important part of this module too? Because talking at someone means we're not listening, and that goes against everything we just talked about. We need to be listening to the other person so that we can ask the right questions. The moment that the other person feels heard, we're actually talking with them. The conversation is now two-sided, and hopefully you're being strategic a little too. Sometimes we forget as activists that it's not about us. We're here for the animals, and talking at someone about what matters to us is super counterproductive. People only support what they create. So if you're not talking with them, they don't have space to create anything, not even change their own thoughts. So it's important that we remember why we're talking with strangers all the time, because we want positive change in this world. So let's please be the change that we wish to see. And join me in Module 6 on why presentation is important too. See you soon.